forgive me. I'm trying to figure this thing out right now. So I'm live on Facebook and I'm live on YouTube, and I'm still trying to figure this thing out. I just went live, and then I got cut off because I didn't know what I was doing. But that's the beauty of understanding stuff that you don't understand until you get to master it. So I got a message for you, but you got to be patient so I can figure this thing out. Eventually, I'm gonna figure it out, and once I figure this thing out, it's gonna be amazing. The quality on YouTube, it is not as good because I'm using my phone, and eventually I'm gonna have two beautiful cameras set up, but it doesn't really matter. The message is what matters, right? But on Facebook, because my DSLR is right there, the quality is amazing, and it's hooked up to this mic. There's another mic right there, but you may hear the fan and the air conditioner. It's a test, so that's why I'm doing it. You're still going to get a message, but you're going to have to wait a little bit. So let me get in here and figure out how to do this thing. And once I figure out how to get all this stuff set up, then we'll be good to go. The message that I have for you tonight, and I might ramble on for a while just because I want to test this thing, and this message is going to get out hopefully before my son wakes up. But it is becoming the first millionaire in your family. Like, is it you that's going to become that person that's going to create generational wealth, that is going to break generational curses? So once again, if I'm looking here, it's because it's Facebook, and I'm not ignoring you. And if I'm looking up, I'm not ignoring you. I think I got it. I can see where the comments come in on this section. I can see what I look like on Facebook, and of course I can see what I look like on YouTube. So I think that took me about almost 2 minutes. If you're still with me, when this thing comes back after what is it called? A recap, or if you see this later, I hope this blesses you in a way that is unimaginable because I'm doing these recordings at night, and eventually I'm going to be doing them during the daytime. Are you willing to do what it takes to become a millionaire? Not for the sake of, oh, I have a lot of money, or I can do whatever I want with it, even though I'm going to be talking about freedom, I always talk about freedom, but just being able, or being the person that can truly create the life that they want. That's what it's all about. Like when I'm speaking and I'm saying things, I'm talking about becoming the person that can take life and just say, this is exactly what I want. Why? Because God has given us that ability to create. And the question that I have for most people, and the question I have for people that watch me is, what reality are you creating? Like every day when you wake up, are you happy with that reality? Like, are you excited about the life that you created? Are you happy with the car that you drive? For a long time, I was in it. Like I was in the mindset of it's okay to be broke. I was in the mindset of money is evil, or I don't need this thing. I can be without it, even though I really want it. I was in that mindset for such a long time. You know why? I was in that mindset because I was listening to what other people thought instead of looking into it for myself. And the beautiful thing about starting, I'm probably going to say this for the next 100 videos that I make that are live. When you are starting on your journey, the start is probably the hardest thing to do. Keeping the discipline and doing the discipline, that's another thing. But the start is so hard. But the crazy thing is, we get so caught up on the start and being perfect when we start, but nobody's watching. Like nobody's watching. I know there's going to be replays of this. There's over 20,000 people on the Facebook page. I know Facebook doesn't push things like it used to, but there's over 20,000 people on the Facebook page. And on my YouTube, there's 200, almost 300 people, and eventually it's going to be more. So people will go back and watch this eventually, especially when I blow up. Like, that's what happens when you are on your journey and you're searching. And I'm going to get back into the actual message of becoming a millionaire, breaking generational curses. But when you are building, you're alone and no one cares. But when you make it, everybody is around. And that's the crazy part is when you really need people, when you really need that support, when you really need that love, when you really need it, people are not there. But when it comes down to, oh, I see you successful now. Oh, I see you with the goal that you were talking about for years. That's when people start to come. Are you willing to become the person that generates millions of dollars? And what I teach now is automating money because I've been through it. I've created millionaires. I've created $1 million for myself. I've created $1 million businesses for myself. And then I went on the journey to create millionaires. I've done it. And now I'm doing it online again. Before it was all about transformation, transforming your mind, becoming a different person. Now I'm so focused on spiritual transformation and financial transformation because they both coincide. And if you are somebody that is looking for that thing, it's not about creating $1 million. The goal is pretty, the goal is there, but it's about becoming the person that can actually do it. But what's going to happen is you have to do two things. You have to separate yourself and you have to be alone. Are you willing to separate yourself and are you willing to be alone? So every time I've set out on, I call them adventures because that's exactly what they are. Hop on the yellow brick road. And when I'm on that yellow brick road, I've made a decision never to leave the yellow brick road. That's what my brother said a long time ago. He was like, once you set the goal, you get on the yellow brick road. You do not get off of that yellow brick road. But what I've learned in the process of being on that yellow brick road, being in the process of becoming that person that I truly want to be, I've I've learned how to like the pain because that's what happens when you are on the road to become that person that can generate $1 million a year. You're going to go through a lot of failures. You're going to go through a lot of pain. You're going to go through a lot of lonely nights. You're going to go through a lot of things when you're setting out on any major goal. But we're talking about becoming a millionaire, right? What happens is when you're on that yellow brick road and you decide to stay on that yellow brick road long enough for the goal to actually happen, you start to see things coming your way and it starts to become fun. That's why I always say that they are adventures, like the adventure that you're on. Like this adventure is so beautiful. When you're setting out on a goal, $1 million goal, you got to look at it as a video game. Like you're going to lose and lose and lose and lose and lose until you learn the levels. And once you get a clear understanding of the levels that are within the game, things start to become beautiful because you can start to look at life. You can start to look at things different. You can see what's coming to you. But most people never make it past the first stage because they have to separate themselves before you go alone, before you take the solo lonely journey. You have to separate yourself. You have to separate yourself and protect your mind. That's what it really is. Because other people's thoughts start to come into your head. And if you let other people's thoughts start to come into your head, then you start to go into a loop. And when you start to go into a loop, then you never make it out of that loop and you just stay as that person. They call them cycles. So if you don't want to be in a cycle, then you separate yourself. And after you separate yourself, then you spend lots of time alone. And it's crazy. It's so crazy. But it's reality though. It's a reality for every successful person that you see on the outside. They have spent years and years and years and years doing the thing, like right now, at the time of this recording, both of these recordings, no one's watching. They spend years doing the thing in silence, and then eventually it pops. It goes back to what I was saying earlier, where people will say, "Oh, I was there when that person didn't have anything," or um, like you owe me something. Like you're gonna get people to say you owe me something because I knew you before. The journey to $1 million, if you're willing to take that journey, is probably the most beautiful journey that you will take. Of course, searching for God and finding God is the best journey ever. But understanding money and understanding how money works and understanding the relationship that most people have with money, it starts to change you. But it's going to change you in a good way. It's going to make you so generous. It's going to make you it's going to make you understand that material things really don't matter. They're just tools. This camera that I have right in front of me is probably one of the coolest, dopest cameras ever. But I don't need it. I like it. I want it, but I don't really need it. Money buys good things. Money buys tools. Money buys um, happiness for people. The goal of $1 million is so important because it breaks generational curses. The goal of $1 million is so vital to you as a person. Why? Because it will give you and your family a life that you deserve because God said we deserve it. I can go into Bible verse. I can't, so many Bible verses just hit me in my head. So many right now, but I'm not gonna get into that right now. We walk this earth as co-creators. Jesus himself said, "You will do greater works than me." If this dude created the entire universe and said that you will do greater works than me, what does that mean? Like, what does that mean? Like, I've thought about that for years. Like, what does that mean? Do greater works than me? That means we're gonna have more impact. That means we are going to do different things than the creator of the universe. So in my mind is, how do I create 1,000 millionaires in a short amount of time? That's my mission. That's my mission. I've created three, but I need more. I need lots more. If you're watching this replay and you've made it this far, then I want you to write below, "I am the one. I am the one." Usually, my voice is so much higher, but it's almost 12 o'clock, and my son is in the other room asleep, so I really can't yell as much as I want to. But this is really cool, though. This is really a test. I'm testing how this is going to be. I pray if you have made it this far that you take action on your life, and the action that I'm talking about is reading reading lots of books on how do I become a millionaire, or watch this channel, watch this page over and over and over again, and try to understand what I'm saying, because it took me years to get to this understanding. So when you watch a video that I put out, listen to it over and over and over and over and over again, because what I'm telling you of separating yourself and being alone, I've done it for the last 15 years. And I plan on doing it for another 15 years. But that separation and that being alone will create will create the reality that you actually desire. And it's a beautiful thing. It's such a beautiful thing. But you got to separate yourself. That means you can't be around everybody, doing what everybody else is doing. And you have to be alone. Two of the hardest things that most people will never, ever do. That's why starting is the hardest thing. Love and peace. See you on the next live.